we are here to discuss about our books, and we are here very enthusiastically waiting for everyone to join us. And myself, Harmeet,
And I'm Sangita.
and really looking forward to everyone giving in their positive feedback on how the things are working around. Hoping to see a lot of other people also joining us very soon. Okay, so Sangita, can you please share what has been your experience since you've been teaching computer science for so many years, and now this new subject has come by CBSE? So, what has your experience been teaching artificial intelligence to your class 9?
As for me, I found it that this is very interesting subject, and the way the CBSE has introduced it to us in the very first meeting in the workshop, that it has to be. I mean, you should not stop the child thinking beyond. So whatever they are answering, you should not say that they are wrong. Might be they are thinking from the other prospect. A lot of research work has to be done by the students, and then according to that they should answer.
In fact, I remember when we were discussing about writing that chapter on AI project cycle. In fact, there were so many things happening around Delhi at that time. We had the pollution levels rising up,
Yes.
and we came up with so many other solutions that we wrote down during that writing that chapter. And we were taking up so many live examples, and I think you had even gone ahead and done a real research work at your school at
Yes.
that time.
Actually, before that, only one of the in one of the PTM, one of the parent come who's actually working with this environment thing, and she told me that her son used to speak a lot about this subject, and he doesn't speak that much about any other subject. I mean, he talks about other teachers.
Talk about
others.
enthusiasm.
Yes, but due to artificial intelligence, what is happening in the school? What are we doing? So then she told me that, why don't you use your own school data? Because your school is having that, collecting the data. We are AQI data from your school center.
Mhm.
So she has shown me that there are 2 cameras kept for taking, the inputs. And from there, more of the research work has gone into it. And the students, they actually enjoy doing it.
Okay. Can you just go through this while I also feel that, can you just give us more insights on when you actually did that experiment and we were talking about inspiration point happening for students, because that's the core idea about CBSE when they talk about that in grade 8 they need to be inspired.
Yeah.
They need to read about what exactly is the worldwide format of artificial intelligence is, and what the other nations are doing, and what is the, can you tell me something about that conversation that
See,
you had
yeah.
when you were talking about SDGs, the sustainable development goals, in your classroom?
Yes, actually, Harmeet, when we started this with our 8th class and simultaneously with the 9th standard students, so it was like the students normally, they don't like, whenever a computer subject comes, they think that we are going to do coding. They'll straight away come, ma'am, when are we going to start coding? No. First of all, we need to understand how, where, why we need all these things. So we guided them that, okay, fine, you play this particular game, right? So while playing the game,
Are you talking about the Google's game?
not really googles. Initially, we played the three.
Acha, the rock, paper, scissors,
yes,
mystery animal,
yes,
those
and
games. Okay.
yes. So while playing those games, so the teacher gave very clear instructions that I have given you to play the games, but sometimes you get yourself so engrossed with it, you don't feel like that something is going to be asked from that also. So there, when they played the game, they were very, very enthusiastically doing it. That what is happening, this, that. So even if you give it, give 15 minutes of time to them to play,
That was seeming to be less.
Yes. So and afterwards, when you start asking them, they start thinking about it. They start correlating those games with the other things, whether it is online game or whether it is the game you're playing at home or with your friends. So they only come up with the solutions, real life examples. Right. Even if we don't understand that, okay, fine, in this game also the same strategy plays, they come up.
In fact,
they will.
I remember this January when I was doing, we are planning to introduce this subject in our school in Heritage this year in class 9, and also simultaneously with 8th also. When I was doing my team training in January, I remember when I introduced this to my team 8, the ICT teachers, they just putting themselves into the shoes of the students, they were so excited. Are we able to figure out what mystery animal are we talking about? Are we able to find out this particular image that they are showing to us in their own surroundings? So the excitement level of the adults also, when they step into the shoes of students, also makes it more, very inspiring to understand what the children are going through. So even before we talk about, guiding our students to prepare something regarding something around artificial intelligence, so at that point of time, we really need to first of all make them understand what artificial intelligence. There are so many terms that have been coined recently. There's artificial intelligence, there is machine learning, there's deep learning.
Yes.
There are so many institutes who are asking about, come up with a curriculum with us, we will help you out with that. So that is why I think when we as teachers decided to, I very drastically wanted to attend one of the CBSE class, these workshops that were being happening, and I was not able to do that. So my fortunately my friend had been able to attend. We had a manual in front of us, we put our heads together, we thought that, let's get together, let's research what is it, so that when the next workshop happens, we are actually able to, go completely prepared. But somehow I think when we started working around it, during our research work itself, we felt that, so much content is available online, and so much of research work and so many good things are available if you go online and look at those examples. And in so many fields, whether you talk about healthcare, you talk about transport, you talk about um, education, you talk about security, so there is unlimited number of resources which are available online. To streamline that down, to, bring out a set of a research documents, because we did not have the blue line, we did not have the blueprint of the paper final. We just had a document that we had to go through. We had a very well drafted syllabus by CBSE, which was very inspiring. In fact, it was one of the first things that, got hooked us on. And fortunately, we came in contact with the BPB at that time, and the marketing manager Surbi was there with us. And we somehow put our heads together that, let's make sure that we are able to write
Deliver
something
a
and deliver
document.
some kind of content where, it's very easy for not only the students to understand,
But the
but
teachers as
but
well.
us as a community also. Because standing in those shoes for the past 20 years, both of us, we have felt that, as educators, we have had more experience how the things are should be taken up in the classroom, and how the research should be, only brought out to only that much amount of part, which should be good enough for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and 15-year-old. The progression of the syllabus has to be such that, what we are targeting in class 8 is not repeated in class 9, but makes a foundation for the class 9 curriculum. So we've tried our best to put in so much amount of research as much as possible.
Because so many things are there, Harmeet, when we do it for the first time with the students, and so many technical glitches comes
Yeah,
in.
I have a
And
question here for you, Sunita. So when you started with this curriculum, the very first class, so how did you explain? See, generally when we have a lesson plan and we go to a classroom, so you and I
I
both
was
have been in this
yes.
field and we never walk into a classroom without our resources and lesson plan, but we never ever are ready for that one or two odd questions that, always land up. So what was your experience did you just go in and start around with what is artificial intelligence?
No,
Did you just give
no,
them the definition, or did
nothing.
you build up towards that? How did you
I
go
just
about it?
started, Hanita, I just started building up for the artificial intelligence. I did not go and speak about anything about
No
AI.
definitions,
No
nothing.
definition, nothing. We said you are going to study this particular subject. So just an introduction class about myself, because I've never taken class 9 before this. So I gave my introduction. I asked them to introduce themselves, why they want to do artificial intelligence, and you're not going to make a model suddenly, in 1 month or 2 months,
Of course,
right?
of course.
So that thing also has to be made clear to the students, and
You
then
have to get them hooked onto
yes,
it, actually.
yes, and then I just started with them, giving them the links of the games, and then talking about the game, what
So,
they observe.
at this
And
point, I'd like to ask you one question before we move on. Um, do you personally feel that, generally the parents always have this whenever we sit down for the PTMs or for any group meetings, we always feel that, when it comes to computer science, the challenge has always been children are more attracted towards games. So do
Yeah.
you think the approach that was taken to, write the book, or when the CBC designed the curriculum for it, that it should be more game based oriented, or it
Yes.
should be more, the learning should be done under the process of
Practical.
gamification,
Yes.
keeping your learning outcomes
Yes.
also in mind and building up those things simultaneously while we are playing those
Exactly.
games.
I strongly believe, Harmeet, in that because each one of us want a stress-free thing and game. I mean,
And if it's
while
in education,
yes,
nothing like it.
yes, and when you're playing, and then suddenly, if you ask something, and they start connecting,
Hmm.
they'll give you the answers which even you cannot think of.
Hmm.
They just do it out of curiosity, out of enjoyment, passionate. They are so compassionate to play the games, and that too in the computer lab.
That will become like,
In the
imagine
school?
in the school, and you're allowed to play computer science.
Yeah.
You're allowed to play
And
games.
when you ask them, what did you observe, they'll I mean, each one of them, they want to answer. Those who don't speak up in the class, they also wants to answer about it.
And I think every child, when in fact for that matter, as I was talking about the training that we
Now
did
they're
in a month,
starting, now they are thinking.
so that's what
Build
happened
on.
now, because that's what happened because they took some time to understand, to explore different activities. So one very important activity that we do in class 9 and class 8 is designing the research template. So very importantly, we need to also remember that, when we are talking about AI as a subject, computer science, it is not only computer science. Computer science does not always mean that you're sitting in front of a computer, you're
And
writing
coding,
codes,
yeah.
and you're starting with Python or R or Java right in the
Exactly.
very first class. It's not like this.
Mhm.
This curriculum has been designed very clearly with the certain amount of a lot of thought is
Integrated,
a lot of thought has gone into it. And the most inspiring module I feel is that, when we talk about STEM projects happening,
Yes.
and we were looking into that document that
I've done all
CBSE
my
had shared
chapters with the,
with other subjects, right?
exactly.
Which is so inspiring. In fact, this itself, my own class, they are coming up with an activity. They're doing some work on piezoelectricity, and they have picked up the research template that I have shared with them for AI. So they are incorporating physics and chemistry, computer science, artificial intelligence from the Makers Lab. We are going to have so many components added up to it. So we are really enthusiastic. Children are working towards the research document and compiling their resources. They have a whole timeline, and it's coming out to be very beautiful. But when we talk about that is okay when we are talking about class 12. But how was the experience of introducing this concept to class 8? I'm more interested in learning about the 13-year-olds. How did they react to it when you started with them first?
Basically, they are right now, I mean, at that point of time, they are basically very happy to play the game, and then telling you about what they understood out of it, what are the other different parameters to it.
So did you unpack the learning outcomes at the end of the sessions? Like,
Yes,
by playing
yes.
this game,
Yes,
these
of
are the
course.
points that you're looking
Yes,
at. For
yes.
example, if we go back and, reminisce about that activity, which was the Google Story Speaker. For a
Exactly.
certain time period and during the month of December, it had stopped working, not is working again. So do you think when you were giving them directions how to do the Google Story Speaker activity inside your classroom, were they actually able to understand that you're talking about coding? Were they able to figure that part out?
Now, what happened, Hamid? There, it was like, we did not start suddenly with Google Story.
Okay.
I just gave them, one sheet to each of the student, and then I asked them, okay, you design your, dream house. Now they were thinking design. People are like, I'm not good at designing. How can I draw? So I told them that, you just have to imagine that after 20 years, how you want your
House to
smart
look like.
house to look at.
Yeah, I
You
remember
just
that.
have to put symbols for it to your understanding. So when you are explaining to me, then you have clear, I'm giving you 20 minutes time to think about it, that what exactly you want. So even if you are making a square and writing it that this is your almirah, automatic almirah, which will sense your hand and it will open, and depending upon the day,
auto lock,
it will
auto locks. Okay, yeah, yeah.
So something of that sort.
Yeah.
So you just need to mention a symbol for that.
An annotation for it, basically.
Yes, basically. Right. So they said, okay, fine. And then they thought, yes, we all can do it. Otherwise, they were like, oh, what can we do? We are not good at drawings. So they did this activity. And after doing this activity, then I asked them, let's make the same thing onto the Google story.
Okay,
So
so how you are
how
moving
you
around
make
in your house.
exactly.
Okay, okay.
So
So
that
when you
is
talk about moving up the stairs, going down the
yes.
stairs,
So
turning left,
in this
turning
in
right,
that they have just created the simple story first of all, and then
in
some
the
of
Google
them
Doc,
yes
in a Google Doc.
yes, and then they have used advanced features. Some of them went back home and used the advanced features, and then came up with
Okay, for this activity, was hardware a challenge? Did you require anything extra in your lab
the
other than the computers that you already had? Because I know that yours is also a Google Apps for Education school, just like mine. So, in fact, for that matter, anybody with a Google email ID was able to,
Exactly.
create a Google Doc and do that over there. So, was it a challenge to introduce where, for example, those you're talking about playing that story on on an Eco or on any other tablet or a Google
Yes,
tablet or something
actually,
like that?
on the tablet,
Google Home.
yes, Google Home, we were not able to test it out. Otherwise, by playing on the system itself,
Yes.
it was working. It
So-
was working perfectly. Kids,
Do you remember we had
they
played
enjoyed
it out
a
on
lot.
our Android
Yes,
phones? So we
yes,
had been able to
exactly.
play it out
So
on our
students
Android
also
phones.
did that. Yes, there was challenge playing. Doing the other games. For
Yeah.
example, mystery animal, because all of them were sitting one after the other. So one is saying something, the other one is interpreted because you don't have that much of distance between two systems. So there, to test that game, then we, my students, what they did is, I told them, if one is doing, then, four others should not be doing it. Then next four should be doing it. I mean, next one will be doing it, then next four. So you take up a chance, or else you just listen the instructions and test it out here. But real testing, you can do it at home.
So if for class 8 and for class 9 we were to talk about, generally it was if you had a headset.
Yeah.
Generally the headsets that we have in our schools for any multimedia classrooms that we do, I think only for these two activities that you require. Other than that, most of the activities that we have trusted,
even for web camera, I got all the web cameras for my all the systems.
only for this one
Yeah.
activity you require
Only,
it, no?
yes, exactly. And later on, we did not require anywhere the use of
But
web
I think when we are going to talk about activities like designing models and testing those models for
Exactly.
in evaluation in grade 10, I guess we would be requiring to
That's
create a
right.
database
Exactly.
of the images of self-created. Remember when we were experimenting with the Google experiments? At that point, for the teachable machine Google experiment, when we were writing for that, at that point we required a camera, a webcam to be available, which could take screenshots of us in the different dimensions that we had taken.
Yes.
So yes, of course, for this curriculum, there is not much change in the hardware required, other than the fact that you have a webcam with a headset, which can also have a mic. So these were 2-3 things that were required, and other than that, most importantly, we also feel that. See, generally the softwares that we are talking about, in class 9 for programming component when we're introducing, which is the Python compiler we are talking about. So we had used the basic Python interface for a collab notebook. So anybody with a Gmail ID can actually just open a collab notebook. The links are all available in our books, and how to go about it, the step-by-step process helpful is also available over there. So what really works over here is that how dedicated you want to take up and how much you want to take up. So generally the biggest concern over here, Sangita, if I'm not wrong, is also about the number of periods that we have to take. So CBSE prescribes that you should do 12 hours in class 8. So was it a challenge to you when you were doing it in grade 8, or were the activities that you were
For
designed
class
for them?
8, Harmeet, that was perfect that I'm taking two.
Because we started in the second term. We started
Yes.
in the second term.
Yes. So it was fine to do with two classes in a week.
That's 1
When
hour
you're having
every cycle.
when you're having contiguous classes, so there's no problem. Only the challenge comes when you are having holidays coming up,
Yes.
and
yes.
that too
I was
on the
coming to
day when you are
When you
having
have a
the
class.
and whenever it is happening for that particular class only.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you need, extra classes, and then if you have a good rapport with the other staffs, then you can always,
But
get the classes.
this I
But
generally-
lab is not free, then you have to manage with other teachers
Exactly.
also. That okay, fine.
So that is a challenge.
Yes.
So I know that generally what happens is that children are very excited for a physical education class. So this was the very first time I saw them very excited for an ICT class,
Yes.
because generally we are not following any books or curriculums in my school. So when this curriculum was introduced, we still had not got the permission to start with this subject. So what we did in our school was, as per what my coordinator had suggested, that we could make use of our ICT classes, and we could still teach the modules that we are doing in the curriculum, and take it on and take it inside the class and see how the children react to this conversation. So I remember when we were doing the SDG, at that point of time there was an activity which was also happening with one of the student clubs. So when we were talking about save water, save life underwater, so we just try to correlate what CBSE is asking as an activity to be done inside the classroom, correlated with students' own led experiments, along with what the learning objectives were being covered in the science class. So that was such a beautiful collaborative activity. In fact, CBSE has also come up with that one document. If you remember, we had that artificial intelligence and
Integration subject.
integration document is also available on the website. So if you look at that document, there are such beautiful lesson plans that which actually give you what are the different steps for an AI project cycle. So I want to ask you, when you were doing it in class 9, this session, like you have formally done this subject in class 9. So now that the year is coming to an end, and these children are the ones who have done class 8 and class 9, both curriculums in class 9 itself, the introduction part, the inspiration part, and the exploration part. So my question is that at the end of this year now, you have around 30 students, if I'm not wrong, 30, around
20,
25 25,
27, 28. Yeah.
So all those students, if you look at the brigade, is this a subject which is, I'll ask you two questions. Is this a subject for every child? Like if you are introducing, like we have IT 402, that most of the schools have introduced as a sixth subject, and is it a subject like we filter out students in class 11 for students who are opting for computer science or for informatics practices as a specific subject? Do you feel that every single child has the capacity to sit for this particular subject in final examination, or do you suggest as after having that experience? Of course, in every class there are going to be challenges. There are going to be students who are going to be above capacity, some who would be struggling, and some would show a lot of interest as compared to the others. So what is your take on the student filtration when you talk about taking this subject as a skill subject in class 9 and
when
forwarded
we
to 10?
when we say, Harmeet, that skill subject, so we should not be. It is wrong at our end if we say that we filter out
Okay,
on the basis of
intelligence.
Yes.
Okay.
So I feel it always depend upon how the subject is taught in the class. Sometimes it happens that a child is very, very bright, and when that child comes to your class, the student comes to your class, he just loses the interest. And sometimes you can see that
He's not doing well in others, but the
as soon
interest picks
as
up.
as soon as the child, the student is coming to your class, he'll, even if he's struggling, but he's trying, he's putting all his efforts doing the subject.
And
So-
if I'm not wrong, your school was also offered a survey where you did how the subject is being taught
Yes.
by the end of the session. So you have given your suggestions
Inputs. Exactly.
and inputs what exactly should be done for the
Yeah.
next year's curriculum.
Yeah.
So how have the children scored well in the whole year? How they have done?
When they when we've started and they saw that we are not doing anything, we are just doing research work. Ma'am is not making us write things, Otherwise, what we used to do, write this, write that, and in other subjects as well. Most of the time teachers are dictating notes and giving no book, no notes, nothing. And when for them, for this subject, first unit test started to approach, they were like, ma'am, what are we going to have in our first unit test? So I gave them the syllabus and I gave them pretty small liner notes that whatever we have done in the class. They were like, what we've done? We've to played games. Right. So they were very this thing. I mean,
So
one
was
way
it?
they were excited, and one way they were like, I mean, what is she talking? I mean, 30 marks paper. What is she going? Then I told them, okay, fine. Before the exam, we'll have one quiz.
Okay.
So I.
So you broke down your assessments in different formats.
No. That assessment is 30 marks paper.
No, no.
Is 30.
The learning outcomes
Yes,
that you covered
yes,
were covered
exactly.
with different forms of assessment,
Very
not
true,
not
very
just by a pen and paper
Exactly,
test.
very true.
Okay.
Harmeet. So then I made one online quiz using Google Forms, and then I told them, okay, fine. Today, 10 minutes, take out. I'm just sharing a link to your email IDs. You just open it and assess yours.
So you shared a rubric with them that if you get these many marks, or
it was just MCQ,
just an
one
MCQ,
marker, and
one marker
it was
quiz.
coming,
Okay.
Right, wrong, and some of the terms which I've never mentioned them in the class, I have written the description. So if you are right or wrong, description is there.
So if they have understood well in the class,
exactly,
then they should be able to
yes.
attempt.
And I told them that this quiz is on for you, and I'm going to ask questions from this quiz only.
Okay.
So whatever we've done in the class, it will be from that. So after doing that quiz, after seeing their own, marks out of the quiz, and seeing the partners' marks and the other partners' marks, so they were like very, very excited that this is very
50 and 50 theory,
exactly,
50 practical. So I remember that when we did the activities, because ICT is not evaluated as a marked subject.
Yes.
It's more of about learning ICT skills and life skills, and integrating it for other subjects also, so that they become skills that they use when they are outside the school also.
Very right.
So I remember, since most of the activities that we do in this particular subject, they are more crew based, they are more hands on based. So I remember when we were doing the Go Goals activity,
Yes.
it had got nothing to do with the
computer,
with the computer.
Yes.
Or when we were talking about doing the pixelate activity, right? That was about cutting how the data is stored in the computer, in cutting it with paper and putting it in strings. There are so many examples that we can take, whether it was the balloon debate, we used flip charts for it, whether it was the job description activity that we were doing. So we asked the children to make simple templates on paper, and we could have scanned it, and then we played, and they just made the job description. Research template was done on paper. Then we used free softwares for activity that we did for writing the letter to yourself. 30 years from today, 20 years from today, how do you think your job description is going to look like? And then for them to perceive that, that today the washing machine is selling like this, and or if I'm a research technician, this is the set of skills that you need to have. And 20 years from now, what should I be telling myself in future? That you need to be equipped with these kind of goals before you go ahead. So yes, we have been very, very we've been very particular about following all these activities as have been prescribed by the CBSE. And if you would look at the appendix section of our book, you would also see that we have shared links to so many other resources that you can make use of. We have given you links to the Google experiments that you can look at. They can be very good teachable links that you can go for. And it's not necessary that it's only about the Google. It's also about, children can design the screenshots. If you have an Adobe license, you can design so many things in Adobe. You can make movies in Adobe. And if you're just talking about free open source software, there are so many online free sources for designing your Photoshop documents that you are doing. Generally, you can design infographics, you can write documents, and you have Google Story Speaker. Then you have Microsoft available. Microsoft has come up with so many other things that are available. So do not restrict yourself for any particular activity just to one platform. We picked up Google because since we were already a gave school for us, it was easier to look for something that if you're a teacher in the suburb, if you're the teachers in the rural areas, you do not have any access to any licensed software, then what do? So we have tried to collate as much as possible in the most simplest way, step by step. And we as a team have given it a lot of thought. We've been receiving emails and WhatsApps from many of you who have taken a look at the specimen copy, that we would like that if we can have how you have conducted these activities and you have written down it in the book. So we've been thinking about coming up with at least one small video of 10 to 15 minutes. We'll figure out how we're going to do that, looking at she works in Delhi, I work in Gurgaon. It takes a lot of time and challenge to come together, and especially with these things happening around us, with all being people being safe and everything. So we are working out a schedule. Maybe next time we'll have a recording. I will be in one location, she will be in one location, so you can actually go through those videos, and they will be posted on the same YouTube channel that we are going ahead with from right now. So please make sure that you keep on looking at the, and we would request you to share your email IDs with us, so that when we send out an email when we send out a invite to attend a live stream, or look at a Google Hangout, or look at a Zoom location, whatever we are talking about, you have that first hand information with us. Or you could of course subscribe to our channel, and of course click on the bell icon to get more latest information from us. But one more thing before we come to the close of this session, and we talk about the book and the publisher, is also about writing that 50 marks paper. So the 50 marks paper right now that you would see, at the end we have given three sample papers, two or three sample papers. One of them is solved, and two are unsolved sample papers that you have. So there is no blueprint that we have. We have come up with our experience at looking at the subjects which are IT subjects parallel to class.
And all the questions are not
And all
as
the
per
questions,
the
exactly, they are not as per the blueprint right now, but with whatever has been our learning experience, teaching experience over the years, we have found that short answer based questions when given to students of grade 9 and 10, 8th grade we're talking about, they learn more and they react much better to it than writing, giving them a subjective question of 5 marks, making a paper of 10 questions of 5 marks each. That doesn't make any sense. Similarly, when we talk about the co-curricular activities, we have given smaller projects as per our understanding. They have not been mentioned anywhere in the document, in the CBSE document so far. But yes, we can look at it, and we are all welcome to your suggestions. So any kind of questions that you would have, we would request that we have. I will post the. I will write down the email ID over here, and you can send us out a good shout out to all those people who are struggling and still wanting to start with a new subject in the curriculum. And yes, of course, we are very much looking forward to the grade 10th curriculum coming in, and we are very excited, and we are waiting to start writing the next part. But we are already in the thought process, but yeah, go anything unless we have a perfect document from CBSE, because writing and then rewriting takes a lot of effort, especially with us both of being in one of the top positions in the school with IT, handling so many things. You
Right.
yourself being IT teachers, you understand that there are so many challenges as an IT teacher. So just before we close, we have our books available. Ma'am, would you want to go hold on to the night one? So we have our books available, and our publishers are BPB publishers, and we have already shared with you the links, and we are available on Amazon, and both the paperback and the Kindle editions are available for you, whatever suits the best for you, whether it is device specific or whether it is. And as a surprise, we also wanted to show you one more book which is still in the draft right now. So this is a textbook that we have come up for anyone who is
Or if you are just starting with
just
class,
starting with the AI enthusiast, and if you would just want to understand that what artificial intelligence is all about. So just one more book that is in the market, but this will be out in circulation only the month of April. This is a generic book that we have, and the fourth book in the series would of course be our a class 10
textbook
book,
for class 10.
textbook for class 10. We are really looking forward to going ahead with that, and we really look forward to getting good responses to our link. And it's been great talking to all of you, and the link is available for all of you. So hope to see you very soon, and in the next series probably we will be sharing about what we have discussed as a team is that we will take up small 10-minute videos, and we would want to discuss how Google Story activity is done, or for that matter how Pixelate is done,
Yeah.
or
Any
if you are doing a project about on any particular SDG in your school, you would need any guidance for that, we are more than welcome to help you out on that one. And please feel free to drop us an email or a WhatsApp, whatever works with you. And have a great day and a good learning experience. Anything do you want to
No, the same
last
thing,
words?
Harmeet. No, that's the same thing that let's join together and
Yes.
learn from one another.
Learn from one another. And it's just not that,
Make
we are,
use of this thing
yes,
for our community as well.
yes. So
We are always helping others.
of course, see, we put our heads together, came up with a curriculum, came up with a document that we felt could be helpful to you. So it's just not that, our book is better than the others or others are better than us. It's just the fact of, sharing information. And we all know that the more we share, the better learners we become.
Yes.
So had she not shared her experience with me, had we just, taken up that I will only write, you will only write, that doesn't work. So as a team, we have worked very well together. We really hope that, you come forward and if you feel that you have a suggestion or a pedagogy that works better for you, we are more than welcome to incorporate it in our good book and give you a proper credentials for it. So we would at the end also like to thank Rekha. Rekha has been our technical editor for the book, and Surbi for all the help that she has been doing with us, and really working hard, and with Manish, who is the CEO over there with BPB Publications, and our heartfelt regards and thanks to the whole BPB team to actually making us first time writers become it's really overwhelming, just to be able to share what we feel and just be able to share what we have written and actually see
and the way we are thinking to put it.
Exactly. And not even, questioning how we want this book to go around. They have been very helpful when it comes to, taking our ideas and putting it on paper just the way we would want it to be out for our students. So it's just not a student textbook, it's a teacher's manual also. So you can work it around either ways. So for any other help required, please drop in us an email or just subscribe to our channel. It would be really good. Thank you very much, and have a good Sunday, and stay safe. Wash your hands as much as possible with soap and water.
Yes.
And stay safe from corona. Please do not sneeze in anyone's faces, and take care of yourself. And thank you very much. And that would be the end of the day. Thank you, Sangita.
Thank you.